Fascinating because most of the time in the non-conference games, teams are playing across the country. Not so here in this new season. Everything been limited for UC Irvine and UC Santa Barbara in the state of California.
Have to get games wherever you can get them here in the year of COVID, as travel has been severely limited. But here is first game of back-to-back days in a row.
Opening tip-off control by UC Santa Barbara. They're on your picture, going from left to right on your screen. Gauchos this season sit at 4-1, Anteaters at 3-4. They beat one team that plays in the Division I. That was it just a couple days ago against University of San Diego. They blew them out, beat them by 32 points. Outside first shot of the ball game. That one's off the mark. A nice defensive rebound for UC Irvine, and back they come in transition.
A lot of this game's going to come down to rebounding. Both these squads are terrific rebounding squads, and it's all going to come down to who can control the boards, in my opinion.
Circus shot by Greene's off the mark, no good. Norris with the rebound. Back comes the Gauchos. Gauchos at 4-1, opening things up, trying to snap a skid here at the Brent Center. They lost their last 4 games. Going up strong is Norris. Shot's no good, but he has fouled in the act of shooting, and he'll get 2 free throws.
Have to think about the mentality, David, of UC Santa Barbara. This is a program under Coach Joe Pasternak, who has finished in second place in the conference, or at least had the second seed, I believe, for the last 3 years. Every year that he has been the head coach. And UC Irvine has won the league several times over the last few years, over the last several years. So they are the giants to kill and to slay, and UC Santa Barbara is coming here looking for blood here in game 1 of conference play.
And one thing with these Gauchos, they're not going to be intimidated by the Anteaters. They actually split the season series last year, each team winning on their own home court. Last one was on February the 29th when UC Irvine won 69-58. Brad Greene had 16 points. Colin Velt, though, didn't shoot the ball well. He was just 2 of 7 and scored 5. Here's Baker. Down low looking for the big man Greene again, posting up, right-handed hook shot. That one needed to bounce and it got a roll. It's 2-1 UC Irvine, their first lead of the ball game.
You can see what the Anteaters are trying to do. First 2 possessions, they go right inside to big Brad Greene, trying to establish that presence inside, being inside out on offense.
UC Irvine looking for the takeaway. That shot, a nice floater in the lane. UC Santa Barbara back in front, 3-2.
I think you're going to see UC Irvine likely slow it down a little bit offensively, where UC Santa Barbara is going to try to run, as the bank is open on Sunday.
Yeah. Dawson Baker for 3. He launches at 6-3 UC Irvine. Not traditionally a great three-point shooting team. Nevertheless, they'll let it fly when the opportunity presents itself. Anteaters up by 2. 5-3 is the score. Here's Norris. Norris thought about it for just a quick second. Back and forth we go. That three-pointer on the way is no good for Jacory McLaughlin. His first look at the ball game. And back come the Anteaters. Here's Colin Velt over on the right side to Dawson Baker. Baker's a local product from Capo Valley. As they lead into the corner, Colin Velt for 3. That one's off the mark, no good. And back come the Gauchos again in transition. McLaughlin looking for a screen from Amadou Sow. To Verl Ramsey. Ramsey's bad pass is intercepted, and going back the other way is Butler. J.C. Butler for 2. Yes, nice shot and a good take by J.C. Butler. His first points of the ball game at 7-3 UC Irvine.
Let me just talk about UC Irvine's defense. 2 straight possessions where the ball never got inside the three-pointer. It led to an outside three-point shot 2 possessions ago, and this last possession, UC Irvine got a steal as a result. Still, the ball has not gone inside the 3. Finally.
Norris, he traveled too many steps, so we got immediate timeout on the court. 16:58 to play the game's opening act. UC Irvine, 7-3 lead over UC Santa Barbara. We'll take it back. Get some substitutions right now. Jerron Artest going to come into the ball game, along with Austin Johnson. Johnson, 6'9" and 223 from Marietta, Georgia. Played his ball at Wheeler High School. And of course, Jerron Artest, the son of Meta World Peace. Artest this season has appeared in 7 games and started 5 of them.
See UC Santa Barbara applying the full court pressure, and it's going here into the half court as well. Look, they're putting a lot of pressure on the basketball, trying to make it as difficult as possible Good perimeter defense is great post defense. If you can heat up the ball handlers on the outside, they have a very difficult time getting the ball down inside of the post player.
Jerry Sani with his first foul of the ball game, second team foul for the Gauchos. Substitutions continue. This one going to be for the Gauchos. Gauchos right now trailing by 4. Oddly enough, in their 4 wins this season, they've gone wire to wires. Baker's shot is no good. Norris with the defensive rebound. And back come the Gauchos again in transition. Gauchos looking to push. They haven't had many opportunities to do so early on. McLaughlin spice things up a little bit. Three-pointer on the way, straight away. That one's no good from Pierre-Louis.
Those are the shots right there that UC Irvine wants UC Santa Barbara to take. They're very athletic. They're powerful down inside. They would rather them take outside contested threes because UC Irvine has confidence in their ability to get defensive rebounds.
Bad pass and a turnover. First one today for UC Irvine. Coming off a victory against the University of San Diego on the 19th. That game 85-53, and they blew out the Toreros. They actually led that ball game 34-15 at the end of the first half. They shot 52% in that ball game and limited the Toreros to just 20% in the first half. That's why they ran away with that thing. Destin Barnes in the ball game for the first time today for the Gauchos. Norris, McLaughlin. Nice bounce pass. Norris, good ball fake. Step back for 3. No. Didn't get that bounce either. Fighting it at Gaucho and an anteater. Officials say it goes to UC Irvine.
I would like to see UC Santa Barbara do a little bit more of getting the ball inside the paint somehow, whether it's a drive or pump it down.
20 wins, 20 wins. He does it. He's done it in a short stint, 4th year with UC Santa Barbara.
He's done a great job with that. He has a deep roster. He has a lot of players that are transfers from other Division I's, if not in their community college or JUCO transfers, or he even has 1 or 2 guys that went to a prep school as well that came directly from prep school, so they're a little older than typical high school guys. But, you know, he talks about how they're close-knit. It's a veteran group. They feel the urgency to win the Big West this year, to get to that NCAA tournament. But, you know, he has 3 newcomers in Ajari Sani, Miles Norris, and Josh Pierre-Louis who are playing major minutes. Not a lot of experience, but they're playing major minutes, those newcomers.
And it'll bode well for them as they get this season into the deep end. Down low pass to Johnson. Johnson amongst the trees, trying to force it up there. He was fouled in the act of shooting, and he'll get a couple of free throws.
I don't know if you remember, David, Jonathan Galloway.
Yeah.
It was a great UC Irvine great, graduated a couple of years ago. Austin Johnson, when he came in a year ago, they compared his build to the great Jonathan Galloway, who was such a great rebounder, shot blocker, defender. But you see, I think he still has some room to grow in becoming a little bit more of a skilled player down inside, but he is supremely athletic. He has improved already from a year ago from a skill standpoint, and he is going to be dangerous over the rest of his career, especially as he goes into being an upperclassman.
And that was the one thing I wanted to ask you. Do you see a traditional 4 out here for UC Irvine? Because I know with Velp in his game, he could go inside and out a little bit, but do they have a traditional 4?
How about Austin Johnson, who just shot the free throw?
Yeah.
He might have stumped me. I haven't seen the team play enough.
3-pointer on the way. That one's off the mark as well from Barnes. His first look at it. Back comes our test. Drawing our test over on the left side.
Like how they're splitting the gaps there.
Shumanga's underneath in case of a miss, but no sir, says Austin Johnson with a nice hook shot going to the baseline for 2.
And you got to give a lot of credit to associate head coach Ryan Battertelli. He works with the post players. Austin Johnson a year ago, I don't think he would have made that shot consistently. Right there, he looked like it was easy for him.
Pierre-Louis loses the handle. Back comes our test in transition. That one batted away momentarily, but he collects. Shumanga. Cone. Lets it fly for 3. Yes. He's only played in 1 game so far this season. He redshirted back in 2019. And because of the blowout against the University of San Diego, Russell Turner didn't give him a chance to see any kind of minutes against.
From 2013-14 on, and you're seeing it right now with this young group here in the early going.
Yeah, UC Irvine, 13 underclassmen. And as you mentioned it, Richie, it's the second youngest. Navy's got 19 underclassmen. So completely different dynamic for them. They have 5 true freshmen and 3 redshirt.
UC Santa Barbara has been shooting through the season, a blazing 40% from behind the arc.
Given that it's only 5 games, Gauchos are averaging 87 points a game this year. Here's DeVeryl Ramsey. Outside is Norris for 3, back iron, batted around by a couple Anteaters and collected by Hone. Looking for some separation. Artest was open. Chimanga, nice turn and a sweet touch on that one for 2.
What a load, right? They got Brad Greene, who's 6'11", 270. Then you got Emmanuel Chimanga at 7 foot 300.
Tough to move off the block. McLaughlin for 3. Yes, he connects.
Much needed for UC Santa Barbara, and who better than the reigning Big West Player of the Week to knock one down for you.
Yeah, he had 23 points against Pepperdine. Shot the ball well, 7 of 11 from outside. Also had 8 assists. Hone has that shot wiped out, but the foul occurred before the attempt. Ramsey, the culprit. 3rd team foul.
One thing that makes it so difficult to play against UC Irvine is it is normal for them to go 10-12 deep. I think they have 15 guys in uniform, and all of them have played.
Which is odd because you don't hear that a lot about teams, no matter if they're in the Big West Conference, the Pac-12, the Mountain West. But in a season like this, you'll have to exercise some of that depth because you don't have the traditional days off. You have these teams playing tomorrow as well.
But UC Irvine has been doing that for years. Russell Turner likes it. He thinks it keeps him fresh. It's a good long-term strategy. Might hurt you in the early going, but it's a good long-term strategy. What an offensive board, by the way, by Johnson and Greene to tip it in.
Beautiful 2nd and 3rd effort for UC Irvine. They have a 17-6 advantage right now over the Gauchos.
But think about that. If you have injuries later in the year, and then you get to conference play where maybe you have to win 3 games in a row, back-to-back to win the Big West Championship, tournament play. I mean, you have guys with game experience been playing all year long.
Bad shot by So. That was way off the mark. Johnson with the rebound. Energy level looks great for UC Irvine, and you can see it in their legs. Tough look the other way. Shot missing by Andre Henry. Henry coming in the ball game for the first time today. Good ball fake and a strong take, but missing the flush is Norris. And that kind of a ball game so far for UC Santa Barbara.
2 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and a senior on the floor for UC Irvine.
Henry, good penetration. Nice kiss off the window for 2. 19-6 UC Irvine. Under 12 to play here in this first half. Has been all Anteaters so far. If you're this Anteater team right now, you're feeling mighty comfortable with what you're doing. Ramsey lines it up for 3, drawn back iron. So skying up, whistle and a foul. And a timeout here on the court. 11:38 to play here in the first half. It's all Anteaters in this one. They lead UC Santa Barbara 19-6.
You don't play again until potentially in tournament play, and I think it's a smart way to do it. The year of COVID, all kinds of surprises and new things to adjust to, right?
I know you were looking to go to Hawaii for at least a week and a half. I don't know if we can arrange that.
Let's do it.
DeVeryl Ramsey with the inbound to Norris.
Look inside.
Right now, Gauchos are shooting a pedestrian 18% from the field. They're trying to change this thing in a hurry. Tough shot and a look off the mark. Robinson Edie Hen with his first attempt today. Actually played well in one of the ball games last year against these Anteaters. In fact, he scored 21 points last time these two teams played on February the 29th. Back earlier here in 2020. Asking Russell Turner about the whole matchup between these two teams and how last season ended. He just said, hey, talked to these guys, was proud of them, but we're not going to play the victim card. We're here to compete. We're here, obviously, to win.
Well, you know what? That's kind of how you talking about Coach Russ Turner.
Yeah,
that's kind of how he is. They want to be resilient. They want to be adaptable. He's always maintaining the perspective, and he likes to use this craziness that we're all going through right now as life lessons to appreciate what they have and the opportunity they have to compete, but just looks at that as a way to prepare them for life.
Don't learn anything when it's so easy for you. Here's Greene on the block. Greene taking his time against Edie Han, and he cleared him out with that left forearm shiver. Offensive foul against Brad Greene.
I think it's a great call by the official. Brad Greene, I didn't quite see exactly what he did, but he did use his forearm or his hand to create a little bit of space in the presence of mind by the defensive player to take the player control foul. Here he is right here. Watch Brad Greene extend that left arm. Oh, it was his shoulder, I think. Push a little too hard with that left shoulder. Maybe a little good acting job by UC Santa Barbara, but it got the call.
He's coming out. He's got 2 personal fouls in this ball game. Here's Ramsey on the tank, looking for a little bit of help. Jari Sani steps in for 2.
Yes, it's a terrific shot. Most players, in that case, Sani is a right-hander. Sani, I should say. If you go right, usually they take it all the way to the basket. In this case, he went left, and a lot of players in that case will pull up for a mid-range jumper like he did.
There's Butler on the take. High arcing, no good. Rebound by the Gauchos, and back they come looking to push it. Have not heard a lot at all from Jacory McLaughlin. That shot front iron and back, no good. Velp there on the cleanup. Henry.
Can't leave him open.
Wide open.
Oh, my goodness.
Davis, that one misses.
Not one defender came out to try to contest the shot.
Ramsey spitting his way through some traffic. Has another guy wide open. Sani again lines it up, but he was on the sideline. Sani looking at the officials saying, what gives?
You look at the stat line here, UC Santa Barbara, 40% usually from 3 in the season this year. Only 5 games in. But here, first game of conference play, they're 1 of 9 from 3. Now, at least 3, maybe 4 of those are standstill threes off the bounce, not off the catch. And most players are better shooters off a drive and a catch with set feet rather than off the dribble.
Getting outside, nice head fake by Velp. Steps in from about 20 feet. Iron stays out. Back come the Gauchos. Strong take for an easy deuce. That's the one time here so far where you see Irvine's defense kind of was lulled to sleep. Brandon Cyrus on the finish.
I like the energy and intensity that Cyrus has throughout the course of the game. Not just that drive there, but just any time he's on the floor.
21-11, UC Irvine. I have a couple lead changes so far in this ball game. Outside of that, Gaucho's not shooting the ball well. It's kind of been tried and true with the Anteaters defense from season to season. McLaughlin. Side it goes to Norris again. He connects.
See, that's a catch and shoot. Not off the bounce. Feet set, hands ready to shoot. Miles Norris catches it and drills it.
Shooting 55% from beyond the arc this season. Of course, in limited time, just 5 games. Looking to create offensive foul away from the play. I think that's on Austin Johnson. And it is. 15 foul for the Anteaters.
It's unfortunate you had the preseason player of the year facing up to go to the basket, Colin Velp, which makes him so dangerous because he's so complete. He can shoot outside the 3 if he needs to. He can get to the basket. He can go back to the basket. He shoots well mid-range. But he is just such a talented and balanced player.
Oh, Fury Yuka Jadeli is back in the ball game. Yuka Jadeli, a local guy from Long Beach, played his ball at Chino Hills out there in the IE. Daniel Shimanga also in, making a return. Almost looked like a near carryover at the iron. No, underneath. Shimanga with the rejection. A whistle and a foul underneath the basket.
I feel like UC Santa Barbara, when they look to drive into the paint, like we're seeing a little bit more of since the last time out that was taken, it seems good things are happening. They're able to score. They're kicking out for shots. They're getting to the foul line. And Edehan here, the lefty, get this. His freshman and sophomore year, he was 68% from the field on the season. Coming into this game, he was a blistering 15 of 18 for 83% from the field, which is incredible.
Not a bad percentage at all from Tudela, Spain. It's about 3.5 hours on a commute from Barcelona, northern part of Spain. As for under 9 minutes to play here in this first half. Indiana pockets the second. So slowly, UC Santa Barbara has crept back into this thing. They were down double digits and now trail by just 6. Butler, and the key with his left hand. No, not this time. McLaughlin, the culprit on this one. He commits the foul.
I do like when UC Santa Barbara pressure is full court. They do it oftentimes on made free throws, and they'll get right into a full court press. But I really think that they could really benefit from trying to force these young UC Irvine players into some errors. With all of their experience, they could really capitalize on some of the errors that some of these young players may have. Like I said, David, this is the second youngest roster in the NCAA. They have 8 freshmen between 5 true freshmen, 3 that redshirted a year ago, 4 true sophomores, and 1 redshirt sophomore. Only the Naval Academy is younger than UC Irvine. And if I'm not mistaken, UC Irvine only has 2 upperclassmen, and those are the 2 players that were all conference a year ago, Velp and Greene.
So goes up Shimanga with a whistle and a foul. He is the guilty party. Fouls against him. And to piggyback off of that too, Richie, they've only beaten 1 team this season that plays in Division I. 15th hardest non-conference schedule, but I mean, with Russell Turner, I mean, you get a healthy amount of games for non-conference. So while you're not playing a whole lot, they've played 7 so far coming into today's ball game. Not really a big sample size for him to evaluate his club just yet.
What a tough year to have 8 freshmen playing in their first minutes on the floor. A year where you have basically no offseason, no preseason, and a limited season. Because anytime somebody tests positive, or there's a threat of somebody tests positive, you might miss a few practices. You got to shut things down, and rightfully so. But they seem to slowly be adjusting, and I think come February, March, this UC Irvine team is going to be incredibly dangerous.
Baker on the take. Sweet move, sweeping with his right hand. 24-16. As you see Dawson Baker, they're averaging about 12 points per game this year and a couple of rebounds. Scored 10 the other night against the University of San Diego. So for the Anteaters today, they're getting contributions up and down the lineup thus far. Errant pass is picked off and nicely by Isaiah Lee. In transition, Shimanga won't take that shot. Baker. Ugajdeli goes in. Ugajdeli can't get it to go. Back comes UC Santa Barbara looking to push. McLaughlin, cross-court feed. Sani for 3, yes, and that was deep. Ajari Sani from downtown. It's a 24-19 lead for the Anteaters.
Got to give him a lot of credit, Sani, because he caught the ball, it bobbled a little bit, he was able to regather it and knock it down. That's tough to do.
Butler around the screen. Lee trying to penetrate the southpaw, does so. Wasn't intimidated at all and made it count. Isaiah Lee with that nice jumper. First points of the ball game for him. Advantage is back to 7. Playing in a relatively empty Brent Center today. Capacity is at 5,000, but obviously limited how many people can be in here today. Foul underneath by Brandon Cyrus as we take it a break. 6:19 to play here in this first half. You see Irvine out in front of the Gauchos, 26-19.
When you're ready,
freeway and you got no cars. There's no traffic at all, and now you get these freshmen that are kind of catered for nowadays, where it's a little bit different than years past, for sure.
I'll tell you one thing I'm not happy about. Freshmen get their own room in a brand new dorm. That's not even fair, man. My dorm in college was 55 years old, but I had a roommate.
Now, it was that dorm 55 years old, or was your jacket 55 years old in the open? I'm curious on that.
Oh, man, look at this.
It's the technical. One thing with UC Irvine and why they've been so successful here in the Big West Conference, they have really dominated the competition. In conference play, they've won 28 games over the last 2 years, 28-4 in the Big West Conference. And since 2012, 54 up and 11 down.
I mean, you just look at the records UC Irvine since 2013-14. That's when the championship started happening for Russ Turner. He's been here 11 years now, but that's when it really started happening. They have gone 88-24 in Big West play. That's over 78% of games they've won in conference play since 2013-14. It's just a tradition of excellence. And UC Santa Barbara's knocking on that door, though. The only team that has been in their way is UC Irvine and also UC Davis a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, we'll get more to that, too, as we get closer to halftime with the preseason team, all Big West Conference preseason squad. Velp looking for some separation, did not get it. Rebound for the Gauchos, and here comes Ramsey looking to take it. He goes up and is fouled in the act of shooting, probably on Baker. Deverl Ramsey is a guy that we have not talked a lot about today, Richie, but it was something that Joe Pasternak mentioned to us earlier in this week, is that two things need to happen if they're going to be successful. One, defense needs to improve, and Deverl Ramsey needs to continue to shoot the ball better.
Yeah, I mean, he is shooting 58% from three right now. But if he can continue shooting at a high clip, that makes them so much better. It spreads the floor. UC Santa Barbara has so many players that can attack the rim. And oftentimes your point guard is not a good three-point shooter. He's a great three-point shooter right now. Here's what makes Ramsey so great. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. He's great on defense. He's a change-of-pace guy. But he is near 5-to-1. You heard me right. 5-to-1 assist to turnover right now. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's one element for the Gauchos this season. They're actually second in the nation in assisted turnover. Baker, he travels too many steps, so we got a turnover there for the Anteaters. 5:35 to play here in this first half. UC Irvine has an 8-point advantage.
Well, I feel like I kind of slighted CSUN because last year CSUN made that big run, so another team that has been right there in the way of UC Santa Barbara trying to get over that hump of being a conference tournament champion or a conference champion in the regular season.
Yeah, our good friend Ghazal Hassan, the voice of for CSUN, he said the Matadors this year got some dudes.
They do.
And they had some last season, of course, and this year a completely different beast, but they're going to compete and they're going to be there.
How about
the Aggies?
TJ Starks for CSUN, who's been outstanding for them thus far.
Sonny is fouled. He hits the deck. He'll go to the free throw line for a pair.
Hey, I saw Sonny playing when he was at Pacific. He played there his freshman year a couple of years ago, 8.5 points a game there. Started the last 12 games, in his freshman year. And he was a good player there under Damon Stoudemire. And I see here 2 years later how he just looks more comfortable, looks more confident. He's shooting the ball very well, over 40% from behind the arc. But he's a guy that can score in bunches. He had a game there when he was at Pacific. He had 32 points, 7 three-pointers in that game against Fresno State. And get this, against UC Irvine in his freshman year, he actually had 23 points as well.
There's Hone. Bringing it up towards half court and crosses it to Artest in the handoff back to Hone. Shimon goes out there along with Velp. Hone lets it fly for three. Back iron, Artest with the rebound. Baker will let the thing reset. Shot clock is at 15. Underneath to Velp. Nice feed. Hone to Velp for an easy deuce. The redshirt freshman keeping his head up all the way.
He's so heady. He is really good. Put that ball right there in the silver platter in place for Velp to make the finish.
Making life easy for the bigs. That's what you want to do. Foul's going to be on Hone. This rivalry and the relationship between UC Irvine and UC Santa Barbara established all the way back in 1968. Gauchos have a narrow advantage right now in the all-time series. 53 wins and 42 defeats. But during the era of Russell Turner, Anteaters have the advantage there, 13-9. And they've won 7 of the last 10 matchups.
Here's where UC Santa Barbara is doing well. They're getting to the free throw line. They have now taken 13 free throws, 8 of 13. So the free throw percentage is not great at 61%, but here's where they're struggling. Just saw it there in the little bottom line our graphics team had put together. Only have 4 points in the paint to UC Irvine's 16. And that's where I think UC Irvine's doing a terrific job of not allowing the Gauchos to score down inside. That's the big difference in the score right now.
And it's a little bit different because you would expect a younger team to be maybe a little more reckless or maybe carefree when it comes to cleaning up glass. Not the case. Artest fighting for it. That one goes out of bounds. It'll go back to the Gauchos. And to your point too, Richie, the previous game against San Diego, Yeah, the Anteaters, they outscored the Toreros in the paint 44-21. They're doing almost the identical thing here today against the Gauchos.
They are big, but UC Santa Barbara's big too.
Yeah. Ramsey out there along with Norse. McLaughlin. Edihan as well. And Pierre-Louis walking that baseline. Ramsey behind his back. A little reckless with that thing, and we have a tie-up and a jump ball. Possession arrow goes to UC Irvine. So that's a turnover for the Gauchos. It's been a well-played game on both sides. Gauchos just have not shot the ball well early on.
They're getting some looks, no doubt.
And that's the one thing that you do want. You want the looks. The shots will eventually come for a team that's averaging 87 a clip.
And they're shooting a lot of threes.
Now, do you think they're settling for threes?
I do. I think sometimes, not always, but sometimes, yeah. I do think there's some shots that they had more time on the shot clock. Here we go.
Back the other way, Pierre-Louis for an easy deuce. Transition basket for the Gauchos been limited today. Deficit is down to 4.
I think second half you're going to see more pressure like that, where more steals and deflections by the Gauchos are going to take place. I think that's an adjustment Coach Pasternak will make against this young UC Irvine team. Shoulder. Yep, called the offensive. How about it?
Indeed, indeed. 4-point lead for UC Irvine after they had a 13-point advantage. 30-26. 3:21 to play here in the first half in the Brent Center. Home cooking's in effect right now. UC Irvine with a 4-point advantage over UC Santa Barbara, 30-26, in large part because their defense has come to play here today for Russell Turner. And speaking of that, Richie, it's one thing to be good at home. It's another thing to be dominant. That's exactly what the Anteaters are.
90-21 over the last 8 seasons. And get this, in Big West play home games, they're 54-11 in that time frame. And I think you and I talked about this before the game. Both these teams have won the last 2 Big West openers.
Yep.
However, UC Santa Barbara has lost 4 in a row here at the Brent Center.
A little unnerving if you're a Gauchos fan. I will say this, with a common opponent this year, both teams have played LMU. The Lions have actually had to shut things down after the turn of Christmas into 2021. Members of the West Coast Conference, but UC Santa Barbara split the season series with LMU. One difference, though, because the Anteaters lost to these Lions earlier in the year. Pass is on the deck. Players fighting for it. Velp, McLaughlin, Amadou Sow. Doing just yet. Ball going to UC Santa Barbara. UC Irvine, their record 3-4. The one game that really got away from them was that contest against USC back on December the 8th. And Russell Turner did say he didn't like the performance at all by his guys. They just didn't shoot the ball well.
Yeah, he said they were really embarrassed in that performance.
Reversed by Pierre-Louis as the shot clock expired, and they will say it's a shot clock violation. Great defense by the Anteaters, but poor awareness for the Gauchos.
I think UC Santa Barbara could be really dangerous. I mean, there was a segment before the break. It was either 3 turnovers in a row or 3 of 4 possessions for UC Irvine. So you've seen the Gauchos turn it up just a little bit defensively, and I love to see it. Look at the Heat right now being pressured.
Butler. And here's Henry. Henry hasn't played a lot here in this first half yet. Aaron pass, a bounce pass was picked out by Ramsey. Here he goes in transition. Pierre-Louis with a sweet move, but can't complete the act at the rim.
Well, Irvine has numbers. Push it. You're seeing some of those mistakes by the young players. Some errant passes leading to potential points on the other end of the floor.
Velp, team's leading scorer a year ago at 13 a clip. Goes inside, patient, but can't complete that play either. Gauchos with the rebound, and back they come. 2 minutes to play in this first half. UC Irvine with a 4-point lead. They're led by as many as 13. And a couple lead changes in this one. Amadou Sow for 3, launches that one, no good. Just 13% from distance, and we get a cheap foul by Ramsey.
Foul call number 4 at UCSB. That's Ramsey.
And for Ramsey, that's his second. 16th foul for UC Santa Barbara. Austin Johnson comes back in for the Anteaters. Anteaters in their home uniforms tonight, the white and blue. Gauchos rocking their road combination today, black and blue. A little bit of gold as well. A double dip, though. These two teams playing today also connect tomorrow on Monday afternoon underneath. Easy basket for J.C. Butler. Won't get an easier one all year long.
It was such a great pass by the big fella, the swingman, Colin Velt. Found him right in motion going towards the basket. Good shot.
Sonny for 3, rims in and out. That's a tough break for him. Knocked out of bounds. It'll be a team rebound for the Anteaters. And now we'll see how both these teams close out the first half. 1:20 to go in this thing. UC Irvine has led the majority of this first half, but the Gauchos from Santa Barbara have slowly clawed their way back into it. Have not lacked effort or energy. It's just the ability to complete their shots. Henry will give it up to Butler. Looking to go around the screen from Johnson with a right-handed floater.
Oh.
Nice play.
That was incredible. Austin Johnson, did you see him go around his back? Or was that J.C. Butler? I'm sorry.
Butler.
Around his back in traffic. That was kind of dangerous, but he made the play happen.
Give a nice little assist, though, to Johnson setting up the screen.
Yes.
Sonny with his left hand. Johnson got there late. Velp with the rebound. Looks to push. McLaughlin with a great intercept. McLaughlin with 38 seconds to play in this first half. Rattles it through the cylinder for 2.
And right over the hands, the arms of 6'9" Colin Velp, who was looking to contest that shot.
McLaughlin only has 5 points here in this first half. We'll need more from him in the second half. Closing seconds in this one. Here's Isaiah Lee looking to close this thing out in the first half. Shot clock is off.
Don't want to leave any time for UC Santa Barbara to get a shot off.
Henry going the opposite way of the screen. Coverage was late. Good push off window for 2. Closing seconds. McLaughlin a prayer from half court. That one is short. And that will do it for the first half. Defense has been there from wire to wire for UC Irvine as they're putting it to UC Santa Barbara so far. Good enthusiasm on both sides. At the end of the first half of play, UC Irvine 36-28 over UC Santa Barbara.
I mean, UC Irvine has completely dominated on their home floor. 22 points in the paint to 6 points.
Some pretty tough competition as well. USC, LMU included.
Keep in mind, though, in every league across the country, no matter what level, they're always going to have some tricks up their sleeves that they're not going to show until the first game of conference play.
Right.
This conference play is a whole other animal, and you know these teams. And the teams that you play in non-conference, you may play them once every few years, where when you get in conference play, you're playing this opponent at least twice a year, every year, so you know everything about them.
So let me ask you this then. Because there's no fans in the stands here in a brand new season, do you think that works to the advantage of the road team? Or is it a disadvantage because maybe the energy is a little lagging?
I think it depends on the player.
Okay.
Some players feed off that. Some players could care less. You know, a lot of players say, hey, we don't feed off the fans. I don't even know the fans are there. Other times players are saying, no, the fans really helped me get through the game.
Sure. Dawson Baker with the basketball. UC Irvine going from left to right on your screen. Colin Velp on the block.
Same thing like they did in the first half. They go inside the first possession.
Against Norris, fall away, jump shot no good. Greene and So fighting for it. Amadou So is called for the foul. Excuse me, I beg your pardon.
Jump ball.
Called that a jump ball, and So was a little frustrated, I think. I wonder if he was anticipating a foul being called against Brad Greene. But nothing doing. Here comes DeVril Ramsey.
Oh, good. They went right to him. Right to him, like we said. That's what UC Santa Barbara has to do. Get the big fella involved early on. Very first possession, they went right down into him.
Got to imagine that's exactly what Joe Pasternak, the head coach of UC Santa Barbara, said to his guys in the locker room at the break. First field goal of the ball game for So. Underneath, good take by J.C. Butler. He gets hit on the top of the head by Brandon Cyrus. He'll go to the free throw line for a couple. Back to So real quick. He's making his fifth start and fifth appearance this season. Big West Conference all preseason team. But a little quiet against Pepperdine about a week and a half ago. He had 9 points, but 4 of 13 from the field.
Well, Pepperdine's been up and down themselves. But, you know, Amadou is a player. I mean, he really could be a guy that gets a double-double night in and night out. And when he plays well on both ends of the floor, because he can be excellent on defense too. He blocks shots, but his strong physical presence on both ends of the floor, the powerful play and style that he has, really is a difference maker for UC Santa Barbara. The thing is, UC Irvine almost every year is the biggest team in the league, and it gives other big fellows like So problems down inside.
McLaughlin, relatively quiet in the first half. Knuckleball shots off the mark. Side iron, no good. Greene with the defensive rebound, cleaning it up. Back comes Isaiah Lee in transition for the Anteaters, who led by as many as 13 points in the first half. Trying to make it 6 straight wins to open up the Big West Conference season at home. Baker from the elbow, step back, got it.
He got into the paint 2 times in one single possession. Baker is a true freshman, but he has some maturity on a very young team. Went on a 2-year Mormon mission to Guam, so he's a little bit older than most freshmen. But he hasn't been playing competitive for 2 years, and he is just coming here with a lot of confidence in his freshman season.
Coto de Casa High School, All-State, All-CIF, Division II AA Player of the Year. Velt with the rebound. And back comes Lee again. Here comes the Aussie. Crossing half court. Another turnover.
Got to convert this if you're UC Santa Barbara.
Anteaters had 9 turnovers in the first half that allowed the Gauchos to get in transition, and those extra possessions paid off. See Brandon Cyrus right there. Cyrus is an interesting fellow. He didn't score the other night against Pepperdine in 10 minutes. In fact, coming into today's ball game, he had only taken 9 shots. 9 shots in nearly 80 minutes of activity.
But he's a 15-minute-a-game guy because he brings that heart, he brings that energy, the intensity every time he's on the floor.
So, good move, nice spin move away from traffic. A little bit of separation he created off of Velt.
I love the adjustment. They are purposely going into Amadou So, as they should. He didn't take any shots inside the 3 in the first half, and now he's 2 of 2.
Artest checking back in. To Butler and to Lee. Lee, the southpaw floater, is way short on that. Ramsey, this guy's up for the rebound. Transition 3-on-2 the other way. Cyrus with the finger roll, no. I haven't had too many of those today for UC Santa Barbara. What I mean by that is transition basketball. Velt lines it up for 3.
He's 6'9", can spread the floor.
47% from long range is Colin Velt. The advantage is back to 9 for UC Irvine.
All Big West a year ago, coming off the bench. He was best 6th player last year, coming off the bench, and got first team all conference. And this year, everybody's expecting him to be player of the year.
43-32 into the corner. McLaughlin, no. Saving it is So. Cyrus hits the deck along with Artest and Greene. Jump ball possession. Go back the other way. UC Irvine with the rock.
Did you see right there? Jump ball was called. It had been 5-10 seconds. Everybody's getting up off the floor, and Brad Greene refused to let go of the ball. It's like a football player who recovered a fumble. I'm not giving up this ball. I am taking it. And it's almost a mental thing as much as a physical.
More on that. We'll just send it over to Jill Painter-Lopez. Jill?
Well, guys, as you're talking about Colin Velt, he had a 19-rebound game against LMU earlier this year, and Coach Russell Turner was telling us, you know, he's had to make some adjustments because he's the focal point for every other team. And I asked how he's doing against it, and he said, you know, like anybody, he struggled early, but he's really finding his way, and they're trying to have him do other things. 19 rebounds, he hits a 3 there, and just trying to help out wherever he can.
Try to be complete. Greene on the hook, no. So with the rebound. Back comes Ramsey. Ramsey, Aaron pass. Velt picks it off. Oh, Henry has his pocket pick. Nice play by Pierre-Louis. Pierre-Louis outside. McLaughlin in the corner for 3. No. Batted around, volleyed and controlled by UC Santa Barbara. Strong take and a foul on Brad Greene. A little bit of energy right now for UC Santa Barbara. So they're trying to get back into this thing. Trailing by 11. 43-32. UC Irvine with the advantage. 32. It's the one thing with Velt, Richie, is that He scored in double digits in every game this season except for one. That was against USC. And that ball game, 23 minutes worth of work, just 3 of 14 from the field.
Yeah, he's trying to adjust to being every opponent's target. You know what I mean? He constantly has to make adjustments. He's the lone junior, one of 2 upperclassmen on the team, co-captain with Brad Greene. And, Coach Ryan Battertelli, he's associate head coach, had told me earlier during preseason that his favorite place on campus is the practice gym. But because of COVID, no access to the practice gym. So it's probably just been eating him up inside that he hasn't been able to work on that good touch from the outside as well as a little bit of work on the end.
Pierre-Louis with the 2 free throws. Advantage down to 9 for UC Irvine. Pass by Velt. Pierre-Louis picks it and can't finish it.
Look at that. That's huge by UC Santa Barbara. 2 turnovers in like 10 seconds of play they forced.
Sonny to McLaughlin trying to penetrate. He's cut off momentarily. Great hesitation. But at the rim, he can't finish.
Good effort by UC Santa Barbara. They have to convert, though. Their field goal percentage is only 30%.
The other way, Vauden kept alive. Pierre-Louis, full length to the court, and he can't complete that. He got stuffed by the rim.
Is that an extra defender by UC Irvine?
Johnson looking for a cutting Velt. Johnson had that shot partially deflected by Pierre-Louis. He might have been stepped on as well by Johnson. Either way, it still counts for Austin Johnson.
I'm impressed by Johnson's improvement. Most players make their biggest improvement from freshman to sophomore year, but that hook shot looks really good. I think he's made 2 of those in this game.
McLaughlin outside. Pierre-Louis lines it up for a 3. He's had a couple bad sequences on back-to-back trips. Getting pinned and then hitting the side of the backboard on that last shot. Johnson, again, matched up against So. And up top. Again, you see what UC Irvine is doing. They're patiently attacking UC Santa Barbara. Justin Hone there, who did not play at all in the previous contest against University of San Diego. Shimango will come back in.
But they keep it simple. They keep it simple. They play inside-outside basketball. They don't look to do anything fancy. They'll play a slew of guys. It's nothing for a dozen players to play throughout the course of the game. And even your best players. I mean, just look at Colin Velp. He averages 22 minutes per game, and he's a first-teamer last year. You have 40 minutes to work with. So nobody overplays in minutes for UC Irvine. And honestly, like, when you're scouting for a team, in your mind as a player, you're thinking about the couple of guys that you might guard and a little bit about everybody else.
Sure.
But with UC Irvine, they throw so many guys at you. All of them have their own individual strengths. It's hard to keep up, and you really just have to focus on tendencies. It is a scouting nightmare when you're playing a team that plays so many players.
Corey McLaughlin averaging about 18 points a game this season. Not even close to that mark. He's got a mere 5 as that shot by Ramsey is no good. And back comes UC Irvine. Henry to Johnson. Justin Hone. Good dump underneath to Johnson, who pivoted, and a foul underneath the basket. We'll see who this is on. But you can see the eyes from the redshirt freshman and Justin Hone. He's head up all the way, looking to create for everybody else on the court.
He's got great vision. He's a terrific point guard. And it's only, his second game?
Yeah.
Because he had that arthroscopic knee surgery at the end of October.
From Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Redshirted last year. Set the T high school record for steals and assists back in his prep days. This is a way different animal here. Division I Hone, and yes, the and one for him.
Wow. In the words of Russell Turner, he could be really good, and we're seeing that already. His second collegiate game.
He was kind of lost in the shuffle against the University of San Diego, and Russell Turner admitted as much. He was going to play him in the second half, and the game just got away from Turner. A 32-point blowout. Sometimes when you got all kinds of depth like that, you forget certain guys.
Yeah, and when you're playing the sideline, the player that you're guarding is on the sideline. You have to angle your feet in a way that doesn't allow them to drive middle so easily. You want to try to force them baseline. Now, every coach has different philosophies on that, but the vast majority of coaches that I've been around and who I've talked to, if they're going to force anywhere, it's going to be baseline. That's where your help side rotation is. but not every coach believes in that philosophy. But in my opinion, when a player drives middle, bad thing's going to happen for the defense.
15-point advantage right now for UC Irvine as the largest of the ball game. McLaughlin underneath. That's a great play for him against Shimanga. At 6'4" and 190 pounds, he really turned on the gas and got past Shimanga working baseline for 2. He only has 7, so he needs a lot more here in a hurry. 13 minutes to play in regulation. Our test into the key. Yes.
Smooth. Smooth.
A little bit of give and take for these Anteaters. They work well together. A young group. Our test. Ticky-tack foul.
Artest it's a terrific perimeter defender. He's tenacious out there, and oftentimes he's a guy that if they needed somebody to guard full court, he's the man.
Yeah.
He can guard 94 feet. As soon as somebody gets a little wind, throw more waves of players. A lot of substitutions for the Anteaters.
Played his ball at Bella Vista Prep in Scottsdale, Arizona, along with Emmanuel Shimanga. Always nice to have a parent play at the professional ranks. His dad, Meta World Peace, formerly known as Ron Artest. A Laker who hit some big shots during his day. Shimanga be called for the foul, and he can't believe it. Sekou Touré for the first time today into the affair, and he'll get 2 free throws.
Well, here it is right here. Guy. But after Ron Artest went to Meta World Peace, he didn't just stop there. He became the Panda's friend. Remember he became the Panda's friend?
That's right.
I think wasn't he playing in China at the time?
No.
What is he now? Back to Ron?
I will call him the artist formerly known as Ron Artest in honor of Prince, the late great Prince. Although his biggest shot ever, I don't know if anyone could disagree with me, was that shot against Boston in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. When the late, great Kobe Bryant, he shot 25% in that ball game. Still had a double-double, but it was Artest that hit the three-pointer. Takeaway and a steal, an easy deuce again. Miscommunication right there with Henry.
They've got to keep pressuring. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Big West Conference regular season. But, Rich, it's the only game in town. Cal Poly Hawaii, CSUN, Cal State Fullerton, Long Beach State, UC Riverside, and UC Davis and Cal State University of Bakersfield all had their games canceled. So, and the new season begins in a completely different environment.
The best thing that the NCAA did a couple of months back was basically make this season just a bunch of bonus games and bonus season. Nobody's eligibility is hurt by playing this year, in case something like that happens where all these teams here in the Big West are unable to play.
That's great. Norris in the corner for 3, lines it up, but no good. Henry with the defensive rebound for UC Irvine. And it's amazing because Russell Turner had talked to us about the offseason when we asked him. They started working out a week before practices begin. It's just unheard of. As we get to a media timeout, under 12 to play here in regulation. Anteaters by 12 against UC Friends Center. You see the score, 12-point advantage for UC Irvine. The largest lead of the ball game was 15 as they start this brand new year. And Gonzaga, the top team in the nation, Richie, they dismantled the other night Virginia, beating them up. In fact, it was a 98-75 victory, but you go Gonzaga, Baylor 1 and 2, and then everybody else, it seems like right now.
Gonzaga's incredible. I mean, they're going to be a team I think is going to be right there for the national championship this year.
Greene with a nice putback, offensive rebound resulting in more points inside the paint. The advantage right now for UC Irvine in the paint, 32-14.
This is what just blows my mind. UC Santa Barbara on the season is 54% from the field, 40% from 3. Tonight, 28% from the field, 13% from 3. They're getting to the free throw line. They've made 2/3 of them. They're 12 of 18. But a team that usually out-rebounds their opponents by an average of 10 rebounds per game, they're getting out-rebounded by UC Irvine by 9 right now. They have met their match. A lot of game left to be played, and 13 turnovers by UC Irvine. I really think UC Santa Barbara could force more turnovers and make their defense become offense here in the last 11 minutes of play.
Bounce pass and a kick ball. So on that note, do you think it's more about UC Irvine being carefree with the basketball, or do you think that it's been defense for UC Santa Barbara that's caused those turnovers?
I mean, it's a cop-out answer, but I honestly think it's a mixture of both. UC Irvine's solid. They're solid, but there's times UC Santa Barbara, I feel like, has settled for outside shots. They're 3 of 22 from 3 right now. Don't you think they'd rather have 10 of those, 5 of those be shots inside the paint instead?
No doubt about it, yeah. McLaughlin right there with Artest and a hand in his face. Good for 2. 12-point lead for UC Irvine. Davis used sparingly in the first half. Greene with his left, good. I mean, the positioning was just tremendous there for Brad Greene.
Brad Greene is very difficult to get around. You know, as a defender, either you're fronting the post, usually maybe you're 3-quartering the post. Oftentimes, you're never going to be told to play directly behind a post player that deep into the paint. No way. So to get caught behind Brad Greene, good luck trying to get around him. His footwork and positioning is way too good.
Outside, that attempt off the mark by DJ Davis. Whistle a foul underneath. And to add to that comment, Amadou So's 235.
Yep.
Brad Greene's 270. So,
right.
I mean,
and Brad Greene may be less than that now. That's what he's listed at.
Yeah.
But that guy has continued to shed pounds and shed weight, and that's why he's able to play longer stretches of time.
Sure. And that's why it's so curious to see what these players did during the offseason, because when you're limited on time off the court in the weight room, you just don't know what you're going to get. Enveloped on that air ball, it stays with UC Irvine. Because you think about what goes into all this as a college athlete. Studies, performance on the court, but your conditioning, your exercise, your training, your diet, and then your mental health fitness as well.
That's good stuff right there. Were you a coach at one point?
Nah, I might have played a game or two here and there.
How many?
Played a lot. Baker, great head fake. That's a 2-pointer, and it's good. Had a foot on the line. Dawson Baker lines it up.
A freshman leading the team in scoring for UC Irvine.
Not bad at all. He played his ball at Capo Valley. His head coach was Brian Mulligan, whose dad, Bill, was coach of UC Irvine back in 1981 until 1991. So a lot of roots here out in the OC. Sonny's 2 off the mark, no good. Another rebound, and it seems like one shot and that's it for the Gauchos so far here in the second half. Artest to cutting Velt. Beautifully done. Great execution. Tic-tac-toe from UC Irvine.
They're able to do that so well because they do a good job with ball fakes a lot of the time. A little pass fake here gets the defense to move. A little shot fake there gets the defense in the air. So if I'm UC Santa Barbara, I am picking up full court right now, putting on as much pressure as possible. They let it in, and then they just kind of back out. Now, there's a gamble in that. If you go and try to go all full court trap and they break it, it's an easy 2 points on the other end. But at some point in time, they're going to have to slowly chip away at this lead. And I think it's going to be turnovers that they force.
See what happens here. That one no good by DJ Davis. A little bit difficult of a shot there. Sonny back the other way. He got a challenging Velt at the rack.
There you go.
So if there's a barometer you want to get to, at what time do you want to have this deficit down to single digits?
Beginning of the game.
Touche.
I mean, if you can get it down to single digits by the time you have that media timeout under 4 minutes, you're still well within reach.
Okay. Artest steps in. No. Greene fighting for it. Won by the Gauchos. And back they come again. Sonny 1-on-3, no good. Greene with the rebound. Sonny had to pick himself up.
I like Sonny's courage, man. I mean, he is not afraid to get in there with the big guys and try to finish.
But we haven't seen enough of that yet from the Gauchos. Norris over the back of Velp. As we're at a break right now, 7:32 to play here in regulation. The Gauchos have another push in them. We'll find out. They're down by 14.
Basketball as a player, and man, he has taken that mentality here to his coaching career.
Been fantastic. Best season with these Anteaters was in 2018. UC Irvine went 31-6, made the NCAA tournament before losing to Oregon in the second round. Velp into the key, got it. Using a little bit of force against Destin Barnes.
I really feel like Velp is faster, stronger, more athletic this season than he was a year ago. I just like the fact that he's so versatile, can score the inside and out.
UC Irvine's defense coming into today's ball game, only allowing opponents to shoot 40% from the field. And today it's been much better. 31% is UC Santa Barbara. But unable to connect from downtown, Austin Johnson tried to go with the alley-oop. Could not complete that. Ball knocked out of bounds.
You notice every time Santa Barbara runs the floor, that Jari Sani has the ball going into the paint with his right hand. He seems like he's in on every single play that involves transition. Push the ball, get the ball to Sani, and let him try to finish.
Johnson back in there, along with Baker and Velp. Henry as well. Underneath. Congestion and a double team. That shot won't fall either. Robinson Etienne had a good look underneath the cylinder. But that kind of a day, though, at the office for the Gauchos. Final 6 minutes and some change here from the Brent Center in Irvine, California. Glad you can be here with us on a Sunday night. No chance there. That shot wouldn't have counted if it went anyway. Destin Barnes was fouled in the act of shooting. And with the quick turnaround, what do you think some of the specific adjustments UC Santa Barbara needs to make if they don't come back and win this game?
Well, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse saying this, but I feel like they can probably smell blood sometimes, with the turnovers that the young players are having for UC Irvine. 13 turnovers. And they had a stretch there in the last 5 minutes of the first half, I think it was. They forced like 5 turnovers, and it helped them on the other end, helped them get back in the game. But I think they got really caught up, especially early on, in taking too many three-pointers where there was still time in the shot clock, and maybe they could have gotten a better shot, maybe not contested, maybe a shot with their feet were set a little bit better, because they shot 3 of 22, and that's uncharacteristic of the Gauchos. Yeah. We saw here early on here in the second half, what did they do? They immediately went down inside to arguably their best player. Of course, they have a lot of great ones, but Amadou Sow is one of them. And they went right back down inside to him, and it paid off. And I think 2 out of the first 3 possessions, I think he got a look down inside, and it worked. So I'd like to see them tomorrow, and even the rest of this game, have that mentality of playing a little bit more inside out, not outside in, a little bit more pressure defense. It's important. If UC Irvine were to walk away with this win tonight, it's really important that UC Santa Barbara splits the series tomorrow.
Sure.
The fact that it seems players are healthy, that's huge. You got to have a good training staff in these back-to-backs. And if everybody's healthy, that's an advantage. If one person goes down with an injury, that team is at a serious disadvantage because you play in less than 24 hours.
Baker faking the pass, trying to throw one. Henry to Lee. Get the screen from Johnson. He was cut off. Nice defense by Destin Barnes. Back to Johnson, the block. Size advantage for Johnson. Nice step. Good pivot for Austin Johnson.
I'm telling you, he has come such a long way with his skill set down in the block. This is really good to see. He is really coming into his own.
3 of 6 from the field. He's got 7 points. Sonny, floater off glass.
The only player in double figures in this entire game is Ajari Sani, now with 15.
Yeah, 6 of 13 from the field. The one confusing part with all this is the advantage for UC Irvine's 14, but the Gauchos have taken care of the basketball for the most part. It's just a mere 7 turnovers in this game.
Right.
It's well below the average.
It's their shooting percentage that's so low. It's the fact they're getting out-rebounded by 10.
Greene, great job using his body, backing down Etienne for an easy deuce. Greene and Velp, the two bigs for UC Irvine, the anchors. It's not like they need to score a whole lot, but just their presence means some things for the Anteaters and what they do offensively and defensively, as Joe Pasternak calls a quick timeout with 4:31 to play here in the ballgame. Especially with the conclusion of the previous campaign. Spoke to Oprah,
Yep,
of all people.
he did. He said that she lives there also in Santa Barbara. And had an opportunity to speak to her about social issues that were taking place, being discussed quite a bit in the late spring, early summer.
There's Hone to Isaiah Lee, looking for a shot. Greene again underneath. The positioning has been great in the second half for Brad Greene, and it's paying off.
Do you feel like UC Irvine really teaches that jump hook over the left shoulder?
Yeah. Quite a bit. Like on the regular, that's like, it's like Tim Duncan, right? Mr. Fundamental, the big fundamental.
Yep.
It's Greene and Velp doing it on the regular. Nice swipe by Isaiah Lee.
I mean, at this point in time, if you're UC Irvine, I mean, you can't just relax. But time is definitely on your side. You got to continue attacking.
Right.
But if something is not there, there's no reason to force it. Take intelligent shots. Clock is your friend.
Artest almost lost the handle. Here's Velp. Shot clock reads at 5. Velp sees it. Velp, a little hesitation, and air ball.
Could have got a much better shot than that.
McLaughlin. A quick catch and shoot from Sonny. No. As we're nearing 3 minutes to play in regulation, UC Irvine is going to get to 500 at 4-4. This will be the second loss of the year for UC Santa Barbara. Their lone loss was earlier this year against LMU in their own backyard at Los Angeles. So we go to a break. 2:55 to play in this game. UC Irvine on their way, leading by 16 points. One, and on that note, Richie, with Brad Greene, it's always nice when you get the payoff, right?
Right.
Velp and Greene, they run the full length of the court, but you pay it off by feeding those bigs, and then they can complete their plays down near the basket.
Yeah, and talking about those two players, I mean, they're the only upperclassmen on the roster.
Yeah.
And they're all conference front court players. You know what I mean? Brad Greene, 6 of 8 from the field. He's got a double-double, 12 and 10 right now. But those big fellas, I mean, Brad Greene, a couple of years ago, didn't get up and down the floor with the same amount of speed that he does now.
He couldn't.
Right. He's come a long way. Talking about payoff. He's really worked his body into being a heck of a basketball player.
Working on it from 2016 and 2019. He lost 85 pounds.
Wow.
Shedding the weight. Sonny to McLaughlin. Back to Sonny. Trying to give it right back to him, but Velp deflected it out of bounds. Big thanks to Misha Padilla, executive producer, and Joe Hood, along with the rest of our entire ESPN crew, for supporting the cause today. It takes a lot to put on a broadcast, and even more here in a brand new season under some rather unique circumstances.
It is unique wearing a mask during a stand-up during the game. I bet you the listeners didn't even know that we were wearing masks right now.
We'll find out. But it's great. Even though you're in an empty building, brings me back to last season when these teams tried to play a tournament game and they couldn't do it.
Right.
And the spirit of March, you think about two things. St. Patrick's Day, of course, and March Madness.
Correct.
And the NCAA tournament, brackets being busted, people filling them out, people that don't even watch basketball all of a sudden run the table in a bracket. And unfortunate because you get so many seniors that didn't have a chance to end on a high note.
But an opportunity for UC Irvine last year as the Big West tournament was canceled during shoot-arounds for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Just like all the other tournaments across the country hadn't been played yet and had been canceled because of COVID. But Coach Russell Turner wanted the seniors to have that experience, for other senior players to draw off it for an opportunity later. And, hey, why not cut the nets down and shoot around? Because you were the regular season champs. Have yourself a little celebration. They basically won everything in front of them. So it gave them the chance to enjoy togetherness for the last time and to really be on the basketball court for the last time for a long time.
Velp with that spin move. He's now in double-digit scoring, 5 of 13, good for 11 points. Jay Nagel taking that shot, no good. It's amazing because you have a lot of things happen this year where tournaments are canceled, people are having babies, people are getting married. These are just amazing memories that you'll make, and obviously you're just hoping for the better. Obviously, silver lining all the way across the board. And so for coaches and trainers and teachers, for all intents and purposes, it is really a bear down moment because you need to adapt and overcome, because you have young men and women that have their entire lives in front of them, and you want to make sure that they get the fullest of each and every opportunity.
I think the COVID situation, what life lessons are being taught to young people to deal with this adversity, to not make excuses for it, that when the chips fall not where you'd like them to be, you accept it and move forward. What is it? Life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react.
Yeah.
Teams that react appropriately are probably going to have the most success this year. Do you think that, talking about Big West teams, do you think that Cal State Fullerton and Hawaii, who have played a combined 3 games this year, are happy with that scenario?
No, not at all. Everyone's hungry, and that's the thing. These guys want to eat, and athletes want to play.
I feel bad for the Rainbow Warriors. I feel bad for the Cal State Fullerton Titans, who have not had the opportunity to compete more than 1 or 2 games, and now we're at the end of December because of various reasons dealing with COVID.
Sure.
But both those programs are led by coaches that have that life perspective, so players are going to push through this, and hopefully they'll have a heck of a rest of the season come January, February.
And that's a great thing with the NCAA is they've granted an extra year of eligibility. It's worked all the way across the board. In fact, Miami quarterback Derek King announced that he's returning next season as well. He was a transfer from Houston, so it doesn't matter the sport, but at least you get these players with another year to gain that valuable experience, because some may go to the pros, others may play internationally, but for the most part, a lot of these players will be this, and then that's it, on to being an adult.
Players who transferred from one team to another typically have to sit out, and oftentimes players redshirt freshman year or whatever year for one reason or another. Now they don't have to. They can all play this year.
Right.
This is a bonus year. It does not hurt your eligibility.
Lee, nice spin move. That's your cherry on top with the shot clock expiring.
I'm going to be honest with you. I did not expect UC Irvine to be up by 20 points with under a minute to go in this game. With all the young players they have, with all the experienced players and the transfers from other schools that UC Santa Barbara has, this shocks me, to be quite honest with you. But you know what? Year in and year out, UC Irvine surprises us. Even when you don't think they'll win the league, even when you don't think they'll have success because they lost so many players, they continue to come back and have a lot of success throughout the course of the regular season.
They're better than doubling up UC Santa Barbara in the paint, 46-22, and the defense has been stifling, limiting the Gauchos to 33% shooting from the field, and for all intents and purposes, that is their lowest output of this year. And the season low for them shooting was 46% against Pepperdine, and they still won that ball game. So for them to come in here today and not be able to perform, UC Irvine will win their 6th straight Big West Conference home opener. And more importantly for them, they will win their 5th game in a row against these Gauchos at the Bren Center.
That breaks UC Santa Barbara's streak of 2 straight Big West home openers. UC Irvine now has won 6 straight Big West home openers.
They were 11-2 last year at the Bren Center. Was UC Irvine on their way to a 21-11 campaign. Remarkable. This team has not lost back-to-back conference games since all the way back in 2017 when they lost 3 straight. It wasn't wire to wire, but it was a dominating performance for UC Irvine. Get to 4-4, more importantly, stake their claim as the top dog in the Big West Conference, and they win it here today in convincing fashion. UC Irvine 75 and UC Santa Barbara 56.